Well, let's just start out talking a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay.
You are the Vagabond Chef, but you're also planted in a restaurant right now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I started the Vagabond Chef project in 2013 when I was a sous chef at a cross-country ski lodge in the center of Idaho in the mountains. And I rode my motorcycle over 13,000 miles in that year, visiting over 60 different restaurants across the country. If I ever felt like I couldn't leave this, if I couldn't walk away from this, I don't think I could get out of bed in the morning. Like, I make a choice to do this, and that's important to me. I'm not going to give up or quit easily, but I know that if I had to completely walk away from everything, that I could do it. It's tough for me to stay in one place for too long. At the same time, I'm approaching 40 and I'm ready to have some roots, and sleeping on the ground all the time and not having a support network is just getting kind of old. So I'm trying to figure out a way to have my cake and eat it too, and I guess the best way to do that is to bake it myself. I do still really love the potential of downtown Wheeling, but potential has kind of become a dirty word to me. It has so much. We could do so many cool things. It's going to take a lot of work, and sometimes I'm worried that people aren't going to be willing to work that hard to make it happen. Well, if all goes right, that will be the new Vagabond Kitchen, right across the street from the original Vagabond Kitchen. And I think it could be a really, really cool spot. But we'll have to see. There's still a lot of stuff to get figured out. I want to keep the Vagabond aspect of this. I see the Vagabond Chef and the Vagabond Kitchen as two interrelated projects. I want to continue to do the culinary travel thing and have that influence what's going on in the kitchen, and bring those inspirations back to the restaurant. And then at the same time, having an actual brick and mortar place kind of gives credence to the Vagabond Chef. I'm not just some asshole on a motorcycle riding around asking for free food. Well, when I was wee little, my dad had a 750 Kawasaki, and he strapped one of those yellow bicycle seats to the sissy bar and rode me around on it. And he had to get rid of the bike, being an adult and all. So I don't really remember it super well, but that was always a story that I really was attracted to, and I always wanted to ride. I got a one-man tent and a sleeping bag, and I throw that on the back, and I can go anywhere I want. And it's easy. I mean, that's probably the unifying factor of my life, is I like to explore, and that probably started here, exploring down in these hollers and climbing trees and all that. This is where I grew up. Yeah, and this was the porch. There's a door about here, and we had like a sunroom. A couple years after we moved out, the Limestone Volunteer Fire Department burned it down for practice. There was another big tree, I think, that's gone, because we had a tire swing in a tree right around here. I don't think it was that one. I think there was another one here. It's been a long time since I stood on this rock. There are a lot of neighbors around here, so I spent a lot of time, crawling through the woods by myself. I had forts down there, and I'm not sure how old I was when we moved here, but I think I was just a few years old, so it was probably right around 1980. And then we lived here for 5 years, I guess. But it seems like my whole childhood was here. Yeah, I appreciate you letting us pop out, man. How are you doing? Yeah, I don't think I've been out here since you guys got the property.
We bought it in June of '06, so it's been 10 years.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Of course, the house has been going for several years.
Yeah.
We are to the point where the farm's paying for itself. So,
oh, well, that's good.
yeah. If we were just doing this alone, it'd pay the bills, but I don't know what we'd live on.
Right.
But
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I'm barely paying the bills, but living in that RV on mom and dad's side yard there, I don't have many bills for myself, so
right.
focus on building the restaurant and try to get it somewhere. I don't know what else to do, to be honest, so it's got to work.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you're persistent, it'll probably work.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it being just stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear stories like that, day in, day out, and you think, am I ever going to catch a break? And then finally something happens.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good deal.
Those overnight successes take decades.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah.
I had no idea where I was going to end up when I was out here. One thing I remembered when we were riding out was when I was riding the bus, I used to pretend I was Spider-Man, kind of swinging through the trees along the road. I knew I wanted to do different things and I wanted to explore, but I think maybe I was smart enough to know that it wouldn't, that you never know what it's going to look like or what your life's going to be. Honestly, man, I'm wore out. This has been a really rough couple of years. My wife and I divorced in the past couple of years, and losing that relocation space was super hard. I felt like I let everybody down. I currently live in an RV on my parents' property because I can't afford my own place. So I've very willingly made a lot of sacrifices and taken a lot of hits for this because I believe in it. And if this didn't happen, I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd end up being a homeless person. Just under a year from our opening the Vagabond Kitchen, my lease was up and the landlord wanted to raise the rent, and I just didn't really have enough money for renting or buying or anything like that, but I still had the RV. So I moved back into this and was able to park it on my parents' property and cut costs that way. Because I can't really afford to pay myself very much right now at the restaurant. I don't get to take home much of a paycheck, and this allows the business to save some money. Well, the fridge inside doesn't work. It broke in California. How much better can you get? You got a refrigerator on top of a milk crate outside of your RV. That's primo West Virginia right there. When I first moved back, I was in Tucson before I moved back to Wheeling. And when I first moved back, I was living in Center Market. And then I opened up the restaurant and basically couldn't really afford rent. And rent's gotten so high around here, and it was hard to look for a place to live, like a mortgage or whatever, because of having lived out of state for so long. But here I had this RV just sitting here, so it just made sense to move back into the RV. So I've been living in this since about 13 or 14 months now. And it works just fine for me. I'm hardly ever home anyway. So, it's got all the comforts of home. I kind of set up the back here to be like a living room, office, watch movies on the computer. And this is all, I didn't do anything. I came home and this is how I live. Like, I didn't clean up or, put anything away. This is it. So I got this at Washoe County Fair when I was a kid, and I won it in the carnival or something, and I had no idea who Iron Maiden was at the time, and that's actually what got me listening to metal. And it tickles me that I still have it. I found it in my parents' basement and hung it up again. This is me and my sister when I was cute and she was cute but smaller. That's actually my dad and me. And the crazy thing about that is he gave it to me when I was the same age that he was when he was in that picture, which I believe was like 22 or something. And there's little, not even a year old me on his back. My ex-wife got me this. I really love this Indian because that's what my grandfather rode. And the story goes that he actually rode all the way to New Orleans one year. And he called back home here to speak to his mom, my great-grandma. And great-grandma said, "Anthony, how did you end up in New Orleans?" And he said, "Well, I followed the birds." So he just followed the migrating birds all the way down to New Orleans. So I get the Vagabond thing is deep in my heritage. I'm really lucky. Like, My parents have every right to be ignorant ridgenecks, and they're not. They were super supportive of all the harebrained schemes that I've had, and got me reading at a really young age and taught me all kinds of great stuff. But I feel really fortunate. Like, I feel like a lot of what I've been able to do with my life is because I got really good folks.
It's interesting to me that your restaurant is called the Vagabond Kitchen, and it has moved.
Right now we're finishing up our time at the State Cellar, which is, we were in the McClure Hotel for 19 months when we first opened, and then we were planning on relocating up the street to Market Plaza, and at the last minute those plans fell through. So to stay alive, we ended up opening up this lunch counter in the basement of the First State Capitol building. I'd always hoped that that location will be a stepping stone, and kind of give me the opportunity to get the name out there, to get the brand recognition. Like, I was trying to carve out a niche for a type of food that hasn't really been traditionally offered in this area. I looked at this space before I looked at the McClure, and at the time, like, my eyes were bigger than my stomach, and I just it's kind of small, and it is. It's challenging. It's a challenging size. We only have 32 seats. This kitchen's tiny, and I had more grandiose plans, which I still have, and I don't know. Several restaurants have started out in here and moved on, but I feel like, as rough as being in the McClure was, it was a good stepping stone, and it was a good place to start. And I don't know if we would have gotten the name out as well here. Maybe we would have. It's hard to say, but I think I totally cursed myself calling this the Vagabond Kitchen. If I had to do it all over again, I would call it the stable yet very successful kitchen. Having moved from location to location, my dream is to get that flagship spot locked down, and to get the systems in place so that it's got a solid menu, with a little room for innovation, but it's the thing. It's strong. It's got what it needs. And then I really want to get back to doing some traveling and the culinary blog. I mean, my whole thing has never been, I want to open up a successful restaurant in Wheeling. It's been, I want to open up a successful restaurant in Wheeling and do all this other cool shit. The Vagabond Kitchen and the Vagabond Chef I see as these two interrelated but independent things. It's like the elevation from just surviving to thriving. It's a quality of life, it's, I don't know, to me it's like, it's making your experience on this planet better. I'm not good at being miserable. Like, I feel like I'm good at, this is gonna sound melodramatic, but I feel like I'm good at suffering, like being straight up miserable in your life and your job, and like, I can't do that. I guess maybe if I had kids, maybe I could do it for them. But I don't, so I don't have to. I mean, maybe someday. I'm not opposed to it. I really like my niece and nephew a lot. They're pretty awesome. I have a lot of friends with kids that are pretty cool. But I'm also not like so sold on the idea that I'm hitting up Christian Mingle or anything. No offense to anyone who uses Christian Mingle. I'm sure they meet fine people. I'm not, looking for a Russian bride. If I found the right person to be with, I might go the kid route. Hopefully the restaurant's more stable by then, though. When people bite into my food, what I hope to see is like that light up, like they light up, and if it's the best possible reaction at all, they light up and they like cuss, and that's when I know, okay, perfect, I nailed it. I do often call them our world famous chocolate chip cookies, and they may not quite be world famous yet, but I bet they're close. They have a shit ton of chocolate chips in them, and they're topped in sea salt. So I make my own vanilla, and a couple years ago I got really excited about infusing things, and like it started with making vanilla, But then I would like infuse different oils and started infusing different liquors. So I made my own fireball with ghost peppers that were growing down in New Martinsville and like cinnamon sticks. So it was really good. And there is an obscene amount of chocolate chips in them. Voila! Or bam, or whatever they say. I don't know what they say. Usually we let the dishwasher lick the beater, but just joking, don't do that. Now for the coup de grace, to give it a je ne sais quoi. Now, everyone always wants this, they want everything to be the same. They want it to be consistent. That's why chains thrive, because people are afraid of new stuff or things being different. But when you're doing real food, it's not always the same. Like there's just, you got to control it as much as possible, but some things you just can't, it's just not, like egg doesn't always pop out of the chicken the same size. And if you're not doing huge agribusiness where you get to separate all that crap out and sell them in different containers where they all look the same, like it's just different. That ain't natural. They're all like puffed up. This one here might be a tiniest little bit underdone, but I'd rather them be a touch on underdone than overdone and crispy and crunchy. And I want them still to be soft and gooey even after they cool. One of my favorite things to do and cross something off the list. It's a feeling of accomplishment right there. There's a lot going on in Wheeling right now, and with the reinvention of Wheeling in downtown. Our mission statement is handcrafted food rooted in local community. So to me, the food and the community are of equal importance, and we try to do as much as possible with local arts and musicians and growers, everything we can as much as possible to try and foster that community and try to grow Wheeling into like a truly unique destination for people to visit. Well, I finally found out just about an hour and a half ago that the business loan went through. So, I immediately contacted the landlord's a new space and got the lease, and it's signed, so it's a deal. Like it's really going to happen, and that's the most assurity that I've had since ever. Now it's just a matter of getting everything ready to go. Like the loan officers said, they were pretty sure everything was going to be fine. Like there was still an element of not knowing, and that's over. Like it's happening. It's crazy. Finally relocating, and hopefully, I signed a 5-year lease. So, and I hope we're there longer than that. I hope we're there forever. Man, it just seems like it could work. Like I really feel like it could work.
I see no reason why it shouldn't.
Well, I hope so.